Look, I don't care what you are. This ends now! We're the ones who live.
Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of What If Daryl Died Instead of Merle? Or essentially, Merle replacing Daryl. Now, in the last episode, we covered the basics, starting with Merle getting to live while Daryl opts to sacrifice himself instead of Merle. And Merle not having the frickin' guts to stop his baby brother, Daryl putting up a better fight, but ultimately still dying, and the governor sparing Merle for the moment. With that, we resume the story. Merle and Michonne have just arrived back at the prison. Rick sees them, everybody else sees them, but no Daryl. And Rick and them pick up on this and ask where he is and what happened. Michonne just looks at them all for a second before sadly admitting to them all that, without going into too much explanation because she feels that should be Merle's job, and just because it's how big it is, the moment, she sadly, after a brief pause, has to tell them that Daryl died. The governor killed him. Everyone is in pure shock for a moment, and then almost everyone starts to cry. Now, not everyone would, because Daryl's was still at season 3 at this point, and we're still in season 3, mind you, but even now, Daryl was a great character in any way. So, it's not like we're gonna have at least half the group not cry. Merle, though, he is sad, but he already shed his tears once after having to put down his own Walker brother, so he just decides to tell him what's what and like what he plans to do for the group and like what's gonna happen and so on. What he basically goes on to tell him is, for one thing, there should be no one sadder about Daryl's death than him. He wanted to be the one to sacrifice himself and go against the governor. He let Michonne go, and he had planned on it, but Daryl stopped him. And he does put himself at fault for not having the guts to stop him earlier on, but, and he does tell everybody this, he thinks that some good did come out of Daryl's sacrifice. Not only did he put up a great fight against the governor, enough where it clearly showed that the governor struggled with him and his men, but he taught Merle, and should teach everyone, a very valuable lesson. He taught Merle more about himself, how heinous he was, like, more of the person that he should have been to his brother, you know, and everything like that. Which is why, whenever he put down Daryl as a walker after the governor killed him, Merle truly made up his mind. And now he knows what he wants to do and what he's going to do. He's going to honor his brother by not only getting Rick and them to trust him fully, like they were beginning to, but help them through and through with the governor, and to find some peace and happiness in not only, like, you know, avenging Daryl, but also forgiveness and, like, remember those who they lost and get some kind of peace in this nightmare of an apocalypse. And everyone is actually really touched by this. Pretty much everybody, like I said. But to know that Merle wants to go to this length for his brother and, like, willing to do all this, this is a high finite change for Merle Dixon. And even Rick has to pick up on this after everything. But he does say that even if Merle wants to help them, and even if he wants to do all this and honor Daryl and everything like that, the problem still lies in a few factors. Number one, Daryl's gone, so they just lost someone very vital. And number two, if Merle plans to take up the lead for his younger brother and, like, be better than he was and better than Merle originally was, how do they plan to get back Andrea, and how do they plan to beat the governor? They gotta figure that out. They don't know if they're coming here or if they're gonna have to go to Woodbury. They don't know anything yet. But luckily, Merle has a plan. Because, let's be honest, with him wanting to do all this for Rick and everybody else, he wasn't gonna go this far without a plan. So, yeah, Merle's definitely got a plan here. What he's thinking is, he knows that Andrea is most likely in trouble. He doesn't know, obviously, about Andrea trying to come back, but he knows that now the governor's crazy. Whatever's going on there, Andrea is not going to be safe for very much longer. And God knows about the people in Woodbury. But he has a plan. Just in case the governor and soldiers want to come here, he knows the perfect counter for it. They attack them right here, right now, but they leave people at the prison. They split off the group. The strongest go to Woodbury and take the governor and all of his soldiers down. Right then and there. For Daryl and for Andrea and for everybody else. And they have people just in case for the prison, in case anyone comes while they are not expecting it. But if they leave right here and right now, it doesn't matter who they leave here. The prison will still be in good hands. And it will work as a cohesive plan. And Rick, he's actually listening good to Merle's plan here, because for once, he doesn't see stupidity or sarcasm in Merle's tone, like he was when he asked him to trade Michonne. And Rick actually went to Merle for help, mind you. So, Rick would actually listen here, and this is actually a pretty legit plan. Now, there's only one problem left, and that is figuring out who is going to go to Woodbury, the strongest people, and who is going to stay. Rick says that this is a very good plan. Now they just need to get everyone in line for who wants to go to Woodbury. Carl is about to volunteer because of course he would, especially around this time. But Rick tells him to stay back. Not only because of everything that's happened recently, but because, especially because of Daryl's death, it would be best suited for Carl to stay behind and watch the prison, rather than, like, getting himself in the front line and possibly getting shot and killed. Last thing we need is him getting shot twice. Carl is about to argue this, but he remembers the kind of person Daryl was. How he sacrificed himself against the governor, how he went all those times to look for Sophia even if she was dead, and how much of a great asset Daryl Dixon was. And he recalls to him getting shot, and for once around this time, Carl is not going to reluctantly listen. He actually listens to this because Daryl's death ultimately gives Carl a bit more calmness and closure on what he wants and is going to do. As for the people who do go, Rick, of course, is the first. Michonne is the second, for obvious reasons, against the governor, and because, why not? Merle, obviously, to avenge his brother, and to mean more sincereness to the group. Again, Glenn and Maggie are going, but even though Glenn and Maggie have sort of forgiven Merle for, bringing him to the governor and then beating up Glenn, almost killing him, they forgive him to a fault now, because of how much he wants to mean to his brother, what he's done, and the plan and everything like that, pretty much changing their fold a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's not like they've fully forgiven him, but they're close, I feel, around this time. Carol is for sure going because of how much Daryl meant to her, even in the original when they lived through this, and Daryl was the one who lived, how much they meant to each other, and still mean in the spin-off. Here, he still meant a lot to her and saved her life after T-Dog died, so of course she's gonna go to honor him. As for the people who stand aside to the prison, it's Herschel, Beth, and Carl. Herschel because nobody wants him in the front lines, Beth to stay behind to protect Herschel, and Carl to stay behind in general and to protect Herschel and Beth. So, overall, we have a set group for both sides. Everyone but Merle takes a regular vehicle, the Honda or whatever, doesn't matter, and then we get a full visual and a cool visual of Merle Dixon honoring Daryl once again so far, because he's going to honor him a lot more, by riding his bike. Merle Dixon, for once, is riding a bike, and it's Daryl's bike, because it definitely fits. Meanwhile, the governor is torturing Milton after finding out what happened, and Andrea is locked up in the governor's sick torture chamber. And the governor brings Milton in to kill Andrea, and Milton's just about to turn around and stab him and get himself killed when, kind of like season 8 and Rick and them at the sanctuary, yet not really because of the resources they would have, obviously. There's no joined communities. They stage a kind of similar act at the gates of Woodbury and start shooting. And this is enough to stop the governor, Milton, and Andrew, who's already stopped, in their tracks. And the governor is angry at this because now he knows that Merle or Michonne or someone must have blabbed after the death of that Daryl Dixon, Merle's brother. And now this means utter war. How will the war go? Will Merle and them actually honor Daryl and succeed in taking out the governor? Or has Daryl's death meant that whatever Merle and them try to do will ultimately be for nothing? And that's where we leave things for the moment. I'll see you guys next time.